Hola Mandy, ¿cómo estás? Es un gusto tenerte en Cinemancia este año.
Hola, Erica. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Bueno, Mandy, en Cinemancia pensamos el cine desde el tacto, las texturas, los rastros. ¿Cómo traduces eso en tu trabajo como compositora?
I think with my work with the textures that when I'm writing a score for a picture, I look so much at like the lighting and photography of a film and how it's all assembled together and how the actors move within the frame of the film, and I try to find sounds and textures that work with within that frame. So that really dictates how I begin my creative process.
En tus composiciones hay como sonidos que dejan huella, que insisten en volver a aparecer.
I like to try new things all the time. I'm constantly trying to do something different, but so I'm constantly using like different sounds and different textures, but I think like without thinking, I'm always coming back to certain intervals between musical notes that are like relationships. And no matter what style of music I'm gonna write, I kind of lean towards these intervals.
En tu proceso creativo, ¿de dónde viene la música? ¿De la imagen? ¿De la emoción? ¿De dónde?
So I think that music appears from quiet. So if I try to make music and I set out, I can't write anything. And when I distract my brain and quiet my mind, then it's like I'm just like some kind of conductor that it comes from somewhere else. I don't know, the universe. And the music comes through me, and then I kind of guide where it should go. But I'm very inspired by photography, by visuals. So seeing an image or watching something move can inspire some kind of I don't know, I think it's more like a distraction that comes to my mind and allows this to come. And really stories are just so important to me.
Un detonante, el detonante elegir.
Yeah, there's the stories is definitely a trigger. I don't think I can write without a story. If I have to just write a piece of music for itself, I think I need to write some kind of narrative or describe some kind of place in my mind. But I also dream a lot in music. When I sleep really, really well, I start hearing a lot of music, and it's kind of constantly like chattering in my head.
Este año, bueno, llevamos más de un año, tal vez desde que empezamos a preparar el festival, haciéndonos una pregunta constantemente, y la hemos hecho a realizadores, productores, y esa pregunta es, ¿qué es la ficción? ¿Qué es la ficción para ti como compositor?
So I think for me, fiction is letting go of reality a little bit. And maybe it's a different aspect of reality that is kind of close to our own reality. I don't know.
So hard question.
It's a really hard question. Yeah, I mean, when I'm writing when I'm adding to fiction, I'm trying to make it more real. So I'm trying to bring a truer feeling to fiction and to make it, sell as a reality.
estás hablando de la realidad diseñada. ¿Cómo construyes, cómo alguien compones, creas algo que represente esa realidad? ¿Y cómo creas algo que represente de pronto algo más, o quizás sí se acerque más a la fantasía?
So when I am working, I do lots of different styles of stories. I've done horror, I've done comedy, I've done some fantasies, and I always treat everything like it's true. And when you treat it like it's true, like it seems even more like if it's a comedy, I would never write music that's funny. I write music that the character is feeling and then it's more funny because it's their truth, and their truth is comedy. And the same for horror. You write for it to be too scary. You write how the film is feeling, how the character is feeling, and you never tell the audience what to feel. You just tell how this story is feeling. And with fantasy, I think, again, usually in a film or a show, if there is a fantasy, we need to believe that the fantasy is happening to make it sell. So they can't make the idea of it sell. So everything is for me to make it real.
Todo es real para ti.
Yeah.
¿Cómo percibes que el sonido puede, o que la música puede expandir la imagen?
A sound in particular can create a sense of depth and reality that picture cannot do alone. When you, or like a moving image. If you've ever seen a moving image without sound or music, it feels very flat and it doesn't feel real. And when you add sound, it creates like a space around so that you feel like you're immersed into the image. And then the music, I think, just ties this kind of internal part of yourself into the story that is an unspoken or even unspeakable thing that shouldn't even be said in words. It should be just felt and said.
Pero Cinemancia tiene una particularidad, y es que ocurre en 10 municipios simultáneamente. Como decía Boy, no solo en Medellín, sino en toda el área metropolitana. Te has enfrentado al reto de musicalizar desde, yo sé que sí, desde la geografía, desde lo cultural. ¿Cómo enfrentas ese reto de crear para cada espacio una geografía?
So this changes from project to project. Sometimes the location is something that I want to address in the music, as the location could be such an integral part of the story that it needs, and we need to notice it. And sometimes the story is just so much about people or the conflict that I don't think you even need to, it's more of a universal feeling, and I don't think you need to point to the direction of the location. Like, for instance, I did this one film and it takes place in Morocco and Spain, and there is a migrants coming from Morocco into Spain, and there's some problems, and we just made a very conscious decision that we should not write any music that sounds Moroccan or from Spain, because it's really just a human story, and it could happen anywhere. And so it's a conscious decision there. And then sometimes you really just want to narrate music to the location.
Sí, y aprender si es pertinente o no para la historia, para cada historia. Bien, hablemos un poco como del proceso creativo que haces. ¿Nos podrías compartir de pronto en algún momento intuitivo, o llamémoslo, que haya transformado con una composición tuya? Es decir, de tal vez se dieron como las...
Muy fácil.
sí, como las condiciones de un trabajo y tal vez ese trabajo se transformó a través de tu intuición.
I think it's so important when you're working on a story to have the story have its unique sonic imprint and its unique sonic identity. And sometimes it can be very obvious what that is, and sometimes it's not. And so, like one film I worked on called Hala, we couldn't figure out what to do, and we tried different other people's music, and nothing made sense. And I went to this concert, and I saw this other composer play who I love so much, and it was some strings, and I was like, the movement of the strings just really inspired me. And the next day I sat down and I wrote like half the score in one day.
Great.
And to me, I found what I thought was the sound of this film, which was strings, because to me, like strings in movies is a very kind of universal texture or color that we see so much in so many films. It's like the glue of movie music, the strings. But usually it's mixed with other instruments. And so when I put it just by itself, with just strings, it becomes like its own interesting thing. Like, I don't know, like in Psycho, which everybody knows that film, he made a decision to just use strings. I think it might have been a creative decision or a budget, I don't remember, but because it has this string sound and he used the strings in a certain way, it has its unique identity. And yeah, that inspired me too, even though it was a different feeling.
Hablando de identidad, bueno, un compositor de cine tal vez debe ser muy versátil y adaptarse a la historia y a lo que cada película necesita, pero ¿tú tienes alguna huella personal, algo que como compositora te identifique?
I feel like most composers have this very constant voice. I think my voice is a little more flexible than most people. I'm almost like an actor in a story. I like to really dissolve into the story and explore what I think is right for the picture. So I'm always doing different kinds of music. I think in my heart, because I played viola as a child and piano as a child, that maybe they're like the instruments that are deep inside me, but I hear any sound and I get excited and want to play with it.
Desde que tu carrera empezó, tú tienes una ya larga carrera en la música para cine, a hoy, digamos que las condiciones creativas o la industria, o como queramos llamarla, ha cambiado un poco. Tu proceso creativo también ha cambiado. Como, ¿qué cosas se conservan desde que comenzaste y qué cosas han cambiado a lo largo de los años?
I think since I started working, I feel like music in films has become less melodic and much more atmospheric. And it's been interesting to see that. And the films feel more natural and more like real life. And I really like that movement. I think it started attracting me. It was kind of changing like that when I started doing this like 20 years ago. So I think the tools have changed. Like, it's so easy now for almost, when I started, it's really hard to learn all these tools on how to produce music and how to synchronize it to film. And now it's so easy that anybody can do it, which is a great thing, because, you can be like a little kid in your room and playing with sounds and video and making something unique. It also means there's a lot more people doing it because it's so easy to learn that, there's a lot more competition. There's a lot more different voices happening in cinema, I think, because of it, which is a good thing. And it's also like a challenge, you know, but I like that the tools are easier to use, and I'm always learning new tools too.
En la cinematografía colombiana, no siempre, pero digamos hay una tendencia a tenerle miedo a la música, a que nos guste o que los directores y los creadores decidan que sea más diegética, que la fuente sea más clara, y tenemos sí, un cierto miedo a usar la música incidental o necesito que me ayudes a convencerlos, no convencerlos, pero ¿por qué música? ¿Para qué la música? ¿Para qué la música en el cine?
Music is actually a really great tool in filmmaking because it can really tie your story together subconsciously for the viewer, and without having to show it on the camera or writing something, you can connect two moments in a film with just the sound or a little motif. It doesn't have to be a lot of music, but if somebody picks up, you know, a photograph and it's tying us to another scene in a film, it's a very powerful tool for your audience to understand how these scenes are connected without really telling them. And they're just feeling it. They're not even hearing the music. Most people, when they're watching a film, they don't hear the music unless it's in a melodic way or it's very much in the front of the picture. But when the music is done tastefully and is really connected to the story, I think it's an incredible tool to help just your viewer understand, to follow the story, whether it's following a conflict or following special characters. If you have a lot of characters, it can be really confusing. And it's just like, it's a way to remember. We have a saying in English called a mnemonic. And when you have a mnemonic, it makes you remember, and all of the brands and advertising are using this tool in a very strong way to make you buy their products, because it works. Because when you have some kind of like using that hearing, sense of hearing has a really strong connection to your memory. So if you're processing a story and you might not be following along, using some kind of mnemonic can help you remember things in the score.
Bueno, ha sido una semana maravillosa junto a ti. Hemos tenido unas mentorías con jóvenes compositoras, algunos conversatorios, algunas charlas. ¿Cuál es tu impresión de lo que hemos hecho esta semana, de estas jóvenes compositoras? ¿Con qué idea te vas de Cinemancia?
Well, I came here as is my first time in South America, my first time in Colombia, my first time in Medellin, and everybody has been so kind and warm and so interesting to talk to. It was really great to meet other female composers and look at their work and understand that we're all probably a little better at what we do than we think we are, you know? Like, I think as women, we tend to doubt ourselves a lot. And so having a community of people that do what you do is so important. As artists, we doubt ourselves. We need to share our work and show it. And like a film festival is such an important thing because you make yourself vulnerable and you make yourself grow when you share your work.
Perfecto, gracias. Y bueno, tú estás aquí gracias a the Alliance for Women Composer, que generosamente se aliaron con el festival, con sonoridades. Cuéntanos un poco por qué es importante el Alliance, por qué existe y qué impacto puede tener en la escena cinematográfica.
So just jumping off what I just said about having community and how important it is, the Alliance for Women Film Composers is kind of like another community. I guess we support when I first started composing so long ago, I didn't know any other women composers. And then I found this group that was really supportive, and we celebrate each other's work a lot. And sometimes, you are trying to get a job and one of your friends gets your job and you still lift them up and you still celebrate them. And it's just this really cool thing. And there's a lot of mentorship in the Alliance, and we help, younger people. And we're doing a lot of work trying to, I think last year, of all the big budget films, 3% were scored by women in America. And so it's really important that we kind of break the glass ceiling and work hard because, I think there are so many women viewers out there. There are so many women's stories. And I teach in a university, and half the students that are composers are women. And I think half of the students at a film school, and we need to tell their stories. Anybody, people of color, people of all different backgrounds, because that's just what life looks like. And this group has been really supportive. We do like a recording initiative, so it's really important to have live music on your reel. So we help some composers do that can't afford that, and just guidance and mentorship. And there's all sorts of opportunities for women to find.
Gracias, Mandy. Gracias por este tiempo y gracias por esta semana de Cinemancia.
Gracias.